All right, it's your boy Fanon. Welcome back to the channel. So Shawn Porter says that or implies that Gervonta Davis might actually lose to Rolly Romero, and that Rolly Romero could definitely pull or might be able to pull a Ricardo Mayorga on him. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. In one of the more comedic fights that is going to take place this year, Gervonta Tank Davis, who is a WBA champion, is going to fight Rolly Romero, who is another different type of WBA champion in the lightweight division on, I do believe it's December 5th. So it's a couple months away. I think, man, it's a pretty quick turnaround for Gervonta Davis, who just fought a couple months ago. But I don't think it's going to be that big a deal because, hey, man, he's fighting Rolly Romero. But in a podcast that took place it's the Porter Way podcast with Shawn Porter and several other guys are on the podcast. Please excuse me for not remembering the guys' names or citing their names, but a bunch of very, very good boxing fans, really good conversations about boxing with Shawn Porter, who obviously knows about boxing, on the panel. They talk about the fight with Rolly Romero and Gervonta Davis. And Shawn Porter's asked what he thinks about it, and he says, "Man, it's going to be a banger." He talks about how he can't get out of his head that Rolly Romero reminds him of Ricardo Mayorga, and that if you know anything about Ricardo Mayorga, he's a very, very dangerous fighter that got a win off of a guy that was pound for pound one of the best fighters in boxing at the time, named Vernon the Viper Forrest, the guy that had beaten Shane Mosley, right? So Ricardo Mayorga, at a point in time, he had a very big upset win over a guy that everybody thought was going to beat him. And not only did he beat him one time, he beat him twice, right? Then he moved on to fighting other guys, and his career never really took off after that. But I said it in a podcast, and I'm not going to say I was the first person to say it, but most definitely, I said it a while ago looking at Rolly Romero that is the exact type of fighter that Rolly Romero is. Rolly Romero, just like Ricardo Mayorga, is somebody that talks a lot, really relies on a lot of antics outside the ring in order to sell people inside the ring. But if he's a guy that is powerful enough and tough enough that if he actually hits you, the dude can do a lot. The dude can do a lot of damage. So I'm not sure how sure Shawn Porter is that this guy can really give Tank Davis a test, or whether he was just more being polite, because Shawn Porter refers to Gervonta Davis as the best guy at lightweight in the same interview. And I think that is probably true of all the guys at lightweight. To me, Gervonta Davis looks like he's the most well-rounded. He seems like he's the best, he's the best fighter of all those guys. He's the guy that's most active. He's the guy that has the most wins on his record. I know there's a lot of people that say, Teofimo, has the Vasily Lomachenko win on his record, so that should make him the number one lightweight. That's kind of my stance on it, because he has all the belts, and that is definitely the best win that has taken place for any of the fighters at 135. But when you look at Gervonta Davis, you look at his skill set, from 130 to 135 to 140, to 140. I think that the best all-around fighter out of all of those guys is Gervonta Davis. But, is Gervonta Davis really at risk for, for a Vernon Forrest type of fight against Rolly Romero? I say not. I say absolutely not, for two reasons. One is, I think that when you look at Ricardo Mayorga and the best win that Ricardo Mayorga had, that was against Vernon Forrest. But I think that Gervonta Davis is a better all-around fighter than Vernon Forrest is. And I don't think that because Vernon Forrest had a couple good wins in his career and he's a good fighter, but it was over a guy that I think he had a lot of experience with and just had the number of, and that is Shane Mosley. And also, Shane Mosley was a smaller guy, coming up from 135 to 147. And I just think that, Vernon Forrest with that long jab and straight right hand just had Shane Mosley's number. But that, Gervonta Davis, when you compare him to a guy like Vernon Forrest, I think Gervonta Davis is a lot more well-rounded fighter than Vernon Forrest. So him losing to a guy like Rolly Romero, I just can't see coming. And honestly, when you compare Rolly Romero to Ricardo Mayorga, I'm saying that there's a comparison to them in the way that they act and a little bit in the way that they fight. But to tell you the truth, man, I think that Ricardo Mayorga is probably a better fighter than Rolly Romero is. Or let me put it this way, that there are things that I've seen that Ricardo Mayorga has that I don't know if Rolly Romero has. Because Ricardo Mayorga is somebody that can take a really big shot. He's somebody that would, beat his chest, stick his chin out, let guys hit him and really intimidate him by his chin. I don't know if Rolly Romero is going to be able to stick his chin out in front of Javonte Davis, beat his chest, and just keep coming like that. Because even in the Vernon Forrest fight with Ricardo Mayorga, Ricardo Mayorga was definitely a big puncher and a wild guy and all that, but he had a granite chin at 147 pounds, right? Now, over time, later on in Ricardo Mayorga's career, people tell me not to say both names. I'll try to practice doing that. In Mayorga's career, his chin started letting him down because he was just taking too many shots. But at 147, when he was still fresh, man, that dude he'd walk through whatever it is that you want to throw. I don't think Rolly Romero needs to be in the business of trying to walk through whatever it is Gervonta Davis throws. But even if he does that and he's able to walk through with whatever Gervonta Davis throws, Gervonta Davis is still so much better a fighter that Gervonta Davis can beat him just pretty much by pot shotting him. But the way that I think the fight's going to happen, and one of the reasons I'm so confident, is the fact that Mayweather Promotions made this fight. Floyd Mayweather Jr. and LRB are not about to throw Gervonta Davis in there with anybody anytime soon that they really think that can beat him. And I don't think that they're going to do it until Gervonta really gets into a situation where he can make a lot of money in a mega fight. He's still in the promotional stage, still in the developmental stage. Now, he's still, light years ahead promotionally and status-wise ahead of the other guys at lightweight, like Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. He's definitely the biggest guy there. But, they've not had him in a mega fight yet. And I don't know what that mega fight is going to be, but I know that mega fight, they ain't counting on it being Rolly Romero. But, so Rolly Romero, I'm going to love the fight, love the promotion for the fight, because I think that is really going to be the talent where Rolly Romero, most of his talent is going to be. Most of it is going to be in just the comedy that takes place in the fight. Rolly Romero, did something the other day, got on tape, punching the head off of a balloon that was Gervonta Davis, doing a bunch of clowning stuff and all that is going to get you giggling. But when these guys get in the ring, man, I'm telling you, these are two different level of fighters. And again, using that old comparison between, Rolly Ramirez and Shane Mosley, and not Shane Mosley, in Vernon Forrest, because when Shane Mosley fought Ricardo Mayorga, Shane Mosley didn't have no problem with Ricardo Mayorga. He beat the brakes off of Ricardo Mayorga and got him up out of there. But I just think Ricardo Mayorga had Vernon Forrest's number, and I think it's pretty safe to bet that Gervonta Davis, that's not going to be the case with Gervonta Davis and Rolly Romero. However, man, Rolly Romero is a dangerous fighter. And if Gervonta Davis gets out there and gets, loses his head and is sticking his chin out there, and not caring about what's coming back, I think, of course, there's a chance that Rolly Romero may tag him, but I just don't see that happening. I think Rolly Romero, the Gervonta Davis is just levels and levels above the guy. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.